Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, great to be with you on this holiday week.
I think you could say that.
There's no one I'd rather spend this time of year with.
Eric, as this podcast comes out, it's Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So
it's Christmas Eve as we're recording this.
It is. It's like Christmas Eve again.
That's right. That's true.
I guess, kind of. But I am happy to spend this holiday week with you talking about the Broncos.
How else would we spend it?
That's all we ever do. Eric, what did you wish for this year? What was something that you... What do you want?
I wanted the Broncos to make the playoffs, and I'm still holding out some hope, Phil.
This is the season for believing.
That's true.
Yeah.
The dream is not dead quite yet.
No.
Certainly, it was a little dark around here after the Bengals loss. Kind of like when the Grinch steals Christmas.
Oh, so now, but
we're hoping that maybe he returns Christmas.
Got it.
The Broncos can go on a little run here.
Uh-huh.
It actually, Phil, if the Broncos can win out, which obviously you got to do it, they're likely going to make the playoffs. So
yeah, but 3 division games.
3 division games. What better way to do it, though?
What a run, huh?
You got a reeling Raiders team. They won last week, but for the most part, they have not played good football. You have a Chargers team that you've beaten, and then maybe the Chiefs will rest their starters.
That's what you're holding on to.
Could be nice.
Okay, well, we got a lot to talk about on this episode of the Neutral Zone. Number one, what to expect from Drew Lock. On Wednesday, Vic Fangio confirmed that Teddy Bridgewater will not be able to go. Fortunately, Teddy Bridgewater out of the hospital. Saw him at the facility on Wednesday, was wearing his sunglasses. In the concussion protocol, not going to be able to play. So now Drew Lock, he's like, this is what I've been waiting for.
He's ready.
His chance, he said he woke up with a big smile on his face on Wednesday. He's going to get a big majority of the reps during practice. He's been waiting for this, Eric, and we're going to talk about what to expect.
He's so ready.
So ready.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens.
We will.
Yeah. He's going to – one thing's for sure, he's going to go out there and let it rip.
I think that's true.
Yeah. Then we'll also talk about the Pro Bowl. Eric. Were you surprised a little bit?
A little bit.
I was surprised as well.
I thought at least Justin Simmons.
Just because it is a bit of a popularity contest. And usually if you make it once, then you get the ball rolling a little bit. As long as you play at near that same level, you should make it. Not the case.
No. Disappointing.
I saw you were hugging Justin Simmons. You were like kind of crying a little bit together.
Yeah, on his shoulder.
Yeah. That was sad.
He could still get in.
Like he like went somewhere and then you thought like you started talking and he's like, wait, are you going to surprise me that I made the Pro Bowl? Like you got me down, but then now just kidding.
And then he saw Ben Swanson and he was like, I know this is bad news.
Yeah. And then Ben Swanson came in and he was like, how sad were you that you didn't make it?
You didn't make it, yeah.
That's a classic Ben Swanson joke.
That's how he does it.
Yeah, exactly. Just down. That was disappointing for the Broncos. So we'll talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl a little bit later. And then also maybe what's on the line? How does this what's the path look like? I know you love the playoff machine.
I do.
So.
Just kind of get back in the lab like Von Miller used to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, 1 loss to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Well, what's the path?
I think I saw you drawing all these lines and connecting some strings.
Yeah.
There were photos. It was kind of a weird scene over by your desk. But you were calculating.
Just win. That's kind of the thing for now.
Not baby.
No.
Especially not this week.
No.
Maybe some bold predictions, Eric.
Ooh.
Some voicemails and emails. Maybe AJ. I don't know. Maybe an AJ voicemail. We'll see.
AJ, that guy, Phil. He leaves some lovely voicemails, and then he leaves some that we can't possibly play.
No, Ben Swanson is.
Yeah. AJ, we respect the passion.
We do.
But when you start saying those things, about Ben Swanson. We can't put it on the air.
This is a family show.
Yeah, exactly.
If people would like to leave a voicemail and be a part of the Neutral Zone, 707-NEUTRAL. It's a nice way to do it.
Talk two-way.
You don't have to talk to Ben Swanson. It's not like his personal cell phone or anything.
No, that's 704.
This one just goes straight to voicemail. Beep.
Yep.
Boom. You just leave your voicemail. It's pretty nice.
Bing bong.
Not a bing bong.
Oh, not the same thing? I don't even really know what that is. I just know it's like a meme these days.
That's from the New York Knicks fan base.
Yeah, I don't really...
Yeah.
Focus on the playoff chase.
Yeah, you're consumed by just Broncos.
I'm like, is basketball even happening right now?
Yeah, you're like, what's the Knicks?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what is that?
Bo Knicks? That's the only Knicks I'm worried about.
No, Eric, no.
Okay.
You could also leave an email.
That's right.
We'll read that right here. neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
I guess I hadn't done a good enough job saying it the last few weeks.
Let's
you
try
wanted
that
to
again.
say
You
it.
could also leave an email. How do you do that, Eric, if you
That's
know
right.
what it?
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. Leave an email. We'll read it right here on the air. Phil, back to you.
Thank you very much. You could also just contact us directly on Twitter.
That's right.
How do you do that?
At Eric Dalala with an A. At Phil Milani with a PH. Non-traditional spellings.
Yeah, non-traditional spellings. This time of year, we know that Philip is spelled with an F.
That's right.
How do you normally spell Eric?
With a...
O?
No, it's got like a little umlaut going. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. I have seen that before.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You could also just leave a comment on the YouTube page. If you're watching right now, smash the subscribe button, leave a comment, and we'll read those.
That's right. Any good comments this week?
Well, I should say we did not do a show on Monday night.
No.
It kind of felt...
It feels like it's been a long time since we've spoken directly to NZ Nation.
We apologize. Both Eric and I were in Atlanta covering Demaryius Thomas's celebration of life.
That's right. It was a nice deal, Phil.
It was a really nice ceremony. There were singing. There was a lot of really passionate speeches. It was
good videos that you put together, Phil.
There were some videos that were played. It was a really nice celebration, and at the end of it, you didn't feel like just down. You felt like we celebrated the life of DT, and I thought it was really nice how it all came together.
Yeah, it was a sad day still, but you got a little bit of closure, I think, and able to kind of remember DT and what made him so great, and nice too to see so many guys, so many former teammates, to see Aqib Talib and Emmanuel Sanders and
that
those
lets
guys.
You know what kind of impact.
Gary Kubiak.
Yep. There was a lot. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, dozens and dozens of guys. So it was nice to see those guys too.
Yeah, really good. So that's why we were not at Breckenridge Brewery's
farmhouse,
which this time of year, it really needs to be a farm home.
Yeah, you got to be at farm home for the holidays.
Yeah, nothing's like being
farm home for the holidays.
Farm home for the holidays.
Yeah.
That's where you get some homemade pumpkin pie.
That's right.
From the Atlantic to the Pacific, the traffic's been horrific. Trying to get over to Breckenridge Brewery. That's, of course, off Santa Fe and Brewery Lane.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll be there Monday, I think.
We think so.
It just depends on what the NFL's COVID protocols look like. That could impact things the next couple of weeks. But
that's right.
As of this exact moment, Eric, you and I we're planning on being there on Monday.
There'll be some form of a Monday podcast.
Talking about a
Broncos win.
Yeah. We'll see. That comes in bold predictions. We'll talk about
got
that.
it. Okay.
Yeah. So it does feel like a while since we've been on here. But we are back, and we're ready to get this thing rolling.
Let's kick it off.
Let's dive into our first topic here on this episode of the Neutral Zone, and that is what to expect from Drew Lock.
Yeah. I mean, Phil, I think that what Drew Lock did in the last game is probably what you can expect. You're just going to try to throw the ball.
A fumble like that? that was. I don't want to see that.
You don't want to see that. I think he's going to take those deep shots down the field. He said today, or on Wednesday as we're recording this, he said, the Raiders don't let you take those deep shots. And then he was kind of like, but when they do, you got to take them. And so like that's true. Like he's going to just find a way to throw the ball down the field. It's exciting. I know people like that. Obviously, that play to Tim Patrick got the Broncos kind of back in the game. He leads another drive at some point all the way down to the inside the 10-yard line. But also, Phil, with those exciting plays come these turnovers. And he's got to find a way to limit those, because that could be the difference between a win and a loss. And really that's been the deal with Drew his entire career, is how do you kind of get these big splash plays that are what makes him so good while getting rid of the interception, while getting rid of the fumbles. Every play, Phil, feels every play feels like an adventure.
It does. It really does.
You never quite know what's going to happen, and that's exciting. But I think that what the Broncos need is they kind of need like the most boring version of Drew Lock that they can get. They need a guy that can just go out there, hand the ball off, make the safe throws, get points when you can. Because, Phil, this Raiders team they've been beaten up. Before last week, playing like the sixth-string Cleveland Browns, they had been reeling and lost a bunch of games in a row. This is a Raiders team that you should be able to beat, but if you go out there and you throw interceptions or you turn the ball over, it's not going to happen.
For everything the Raiders have been through this year, the fact that they are 7-7 is pretty remarkable.
It's true.
And they have found ways to win games, Eric. They went on the road against the Cowboys and won a tough game on Thanksgiving. That was impressive. I mean, they've found ways. Even the game against the Browns, they shouldn't have won that, but they made some things happen there at the end, ended up winning the game.
Right, but looking at their schedule here, they lost 5 of 6. Before that Browns win, they got dusted by the Chiefs twice during that stretch. They lost by a ton to the Bengals. They lost to the Giants on the road. They lost to Washington in a close game. And then they kind of barely beat Cleveland, like you mentioned, with Cleveland's third-string quarterback, Nick Mullins. And so I don't know if it's obviously the last time the Broncos played the Raiders, they had Henry Ruggs. It was right after this John Gruden stuff all came out, and he'd been fired, and Rich Bisaccia was the interim head coach. But I think the loss of Ruggs might have been a little bit too much to overcome. Like, they're missing him as a playmaker. They just put Jonathan Abrams going to go on IR, it sounds like, have season-ending surgery. So I think the Broncos are better poised to earn a win, but Drew has to be – I don't want to – I'm not saying this in like a critical way, but Drew has to be good Drew.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that fumble play for a little bit.
Yeah.
After the game, he was like, I probably should have just handed it off to Javonte.
Which is correct.
He said that I'm a professional thrower. Javonte's a professional runner. I should have just given it to him. If you go back and look at that play, there was a gigantic hole that Javonte could have run through. And on Wednesday, he was asked about that play again, and he was like, no, I don't regret it. And he said that I shouldn't have held the ball up that high, and the guy just made a nice play there. So I think you admire the confidence from Drew, and you want him to be confident. You want him to be Drew Lock out there. But at the same time, he can't be the one who's out there and end up costing this team a chance at the playoffs.
This roster is now good enough where Drew doesn't have to do everything himself. And I think he probably felt like there were times his rookie year, even last year, where like when Cortland's out, where he said, hey, we don't necessarily have the talent because a bunch of guys are injured. I've got to go out there and I've got to make big plays to win these games.
He's probably done that his whole life, that mentality, at Mizzou, like, hey, we're going in to name an SEC school. I gotta make some magic happen.
Right. And that's not the case with this team. The defense has been playing lights out, 6 games where they've allowed 1 touchdown or fewer. And so you look at it and you say, well, if Drew can just get us into the red zone a few times, rely on this run game that's really good, get the ball to Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, let them catch it and run with it, which we talked about before the season. Why we thought Teddy Bridgewater would be so good is because he was getting them the ball in space. That hasn't happened as much recently, so maybe Drew can get that going a little bit. But Phil, you just can't have these kind of moments where Drew feels like, I got to be a superhero on this play, or I got to do everything myself. Play within the structure of the play, make the right, simple decision. I think back to some of the preseason games, in Minnesota. He had a nice game.
Really good.
He had a nice game. He took his shot when he had it to KJ Hamler, But then otherwise, just played within the scheme, took the throws that were there. They moved down the field. They were efficient. And that's when you were kind of like, okay, Drew can do this. Drew's figured it out. Didn't turn the ball over, of course.
Yep.
And it just has felt like – now, one thing he did say against the Bengals, he thought he saw everything a little bit better than he did early in the year. So hopefully that translates. But like it always is with Drew, you cannot have these turnovers. And I know I'm repeating myself, but the Broncos are still alive. They really need a win against the Raiders. We'll talk more about it, but they won't get it if Drew goes out and turns the ball over several times. It's hard to win that way.
Let me ask you this, though, Eric. In the 3 games that we've seen Drew Lock this season, he's had to come in for Teddy Bridgewater. What difference do you think will happen this week where he's been named the guy on Wednesday? He said he woke up with this big smile on his face. He's getting the majority of the reps out at practice. It feels like he's the starter again now. What impact do you think that'll make where he knows going into it what his role is going to be versus being that emergency guy?
Well, there's pros and cons, right? Like he knows I'm going as the starter. You've probably got a better list of plays that fit his ability. Pat Shurmur and Mike Shula probably have a script that works well for him. They've probably figured out, hey, we want to make these calls. We don't want to make these calls. He has a little more confidence. He gets more work in. Those are all the pros. The other side of it, though, is the Raiders know that Drew Lock is starting. And so the Bengals probably didn't spend a whole lot of time prepping for Drew Lock, and that could explain some of the early success. You know, you come in and it's a different type of quarterback that you're facing. The Raiders now have all week to prep a plan for him, and he's had success against the Raiders at home. He played, I thought, one of his better games of the year last year in the season finale. There was that long touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. But then he threw 4 picks in Vegas when they played him there. So they're going to bring pressure. They bring a lot of good pressure with 4 guys. We know Max Crosby, I think he's a Pro Bowler if I'm remembering correctly.
Mad Max.
Exactly. He's a good player. And so Drew is going to have to make sure that if they drop, 7 and rush 4, that he's able to find those openings in the defense, that he's not holding the ball too long. Because there is this sense, I think, that the defense has all week to get ready for you now.
Yeah. What do you think? What is this Broncos offense going to look like? Because we knew under Teddy Bridgewater, this team was going to try and pound the ball on the ground and then occasionally take some shots down the field, and then the rest of it was going to be sort of stuff underneath. Is this offense going to look way different now with Pat Shurmur designing it for Drew?
I don't think it's going to look way different, but I do think you might see some more shots down the field. For whatever reason, Teddy started the year doing that. Jacksonville, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, it could go on. There were games where he was looking down the field, and for whatever reason, that's kind of dried up a little bit here in recent weeks. Obviously, he took that chance to Cortland Sutton against the Bengals, and if he catches that, we're probably not having the same conversation. But I think there's a chance here that you're still going to run the ball. Like I don't think you want to get away from that, but maybe a little bit more play action. Maybe you're able to give Drew the chance to take some of those deep shots, take advantage of his arm. But I also think there's a sense of, hey, our defense is really good. The Raiders might not have, or they won't have Henry Ruggs, obviously. They might not have Darren Waller. And so can you just kind of keep yourself in the game, play smart football? And so I think they're going to try to avoid mistakes where they can.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's the game plan. Let him use his talents when it's a fitting moment, but just really don't turn the ball over. Because you would like to think that if the Broncos don't turn the ball over in this one, they should be able to go to Las Vegas and get a win. And
that would be great. It would keep the Broncos in the race. For Drew Lock, it makes the choice next week more difficult. I mean, Vic Fangio said Teddy Bridgewater's our starter. I believe that, but if Drew is playing good football and Teddy's still kind of iffy
on the fence,
yeah, maybe it gives you the chance to, hey, let's get Teddy rested for the Chiefs game, or let's get Teddy rested for a potential playoff run. Let's let Drew keep rolling. If you lose, I don't know if Drew finishes a season just from the fact of it's not. You don't want to expose Teddy to more hits in a game that doesn't count. So there's an opportunity for Drew here. And I know people are talking about what's Drew's long-term future. What can he do over these final 3 games? I don't know about all that. I don't know that you're going to be able to do anything over the next 3 games substantially changes kind of the last few years. But Drew is putting tape out there for this team. He's putting tape out there for other teams eventually. You know, he needs to go out there and play good football, and hopefully that results in wins.
Yeah, I think if you're Drew, you don't think about the future. You just try to focus on the moment. And
It's hard, though.
Try and play your best football. Don't worry about anything else.
It's hard. If you're a guy that's, you know, been a backup and you finally get back to being a starter, I'm sure it's hard not to think, hey, if I play really well, I got a chance again.
Yeah.
That's something he's going to have to, and that was asked today, how do you avoid trying to do too much and just try to win this game? And Phil, we know the dangers of trying to do too much.
That's true. That's when accidents happen.
That's when accidents happen.
Yeah.
You think of Kevin in The Office? That show?
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Yeah, I have
You know
seen
the
that
episode
show.
where he's carrying the chili in
Uh-huh.
and he spills the chili all over the floor?
He was trying to do too much.
Like Kevin in that situation was trying to do too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he do that in the office or in an elevator?
The Office is a show.
Got it.
Yeah. The Elevator, that's a silly show. That'd be a silly name for a show.
I didn't say that was the name of the show.
Oh, you're
I said
asking where it
did he
happened.
spill
Oh, right
the
in front of the
chili?
front desk.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And he was doing too much.
Yes.
Or he was trying to do too much. Who knows what he was actually doing.
Oh, so you think there's a difference between trying
Trying to do too much
and
and
doing
actually
too much?
doing too much.
Yeah, he was trying
If
to
you're
do too much.
doing too much, then it makes sense. Maybe you spill a chili.
But you're trying to do too much. Then
Yeah, that's a little different.
hold on to the chili.
Hold on to that chili.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Drew
Shouldn't
needs to,
spill the chili.
Drew does not need to try to do too much or do too much.
Kevin was preparing all night with that chili.
That's true.
Drew preparing all week for this.
Yes.
So,
And we don't mean to suggest that he's going to spill the chili. We're just suggesting what shouldn't happen.
correct. Smelling chili, kind of like turning the ball over.
Exactly.
Don't
Don't
do that. Eric, let's move on to our second topic here. Talk about this Broncos team and this roster being really good, and that
Yeah.
Drew shouldn't turn the ball over, and they got a chance to beat the Raiders.
Yep.
How good
I
is
said
this
those
Broncos
things.
roster?
I think it's pretty good.
No Pro Bowlers.
That was a setup.
I set you up.
That was a setup.
That was a little bit surprising, Eric. I would have thought 1, Justin Simmons, 2, Pat Surtain, and then maybe Javonte, maybe
Yeah.
another guy.
Phil,
This
I'm
was surprising.
I'm flabbergasted.
Really?
A little bit befuddled.
Another good word.
Yeah. A little bit annoyed.
Ooh,
I
you're
mean,
upset.
Yeah, I mean, it just
You're
doesn't
upset.
make a lot of sense to me. Justin Simmons, as Vic Fangio said on Wednesday, made the Pro Bowl last year, and he's playing better this year, and doesn't make it.
That's true. Well, it's not just an individual thing.
Well,
It's comparative.
Of course, but
You know.
the fact that he has 5 interceptions, he
Yes.
has 2 sacks, a bunch of tackles this year. Like,
Yes.
You look at Justin Simmons and you think that guy's a Pro Bowler.
Yes.
The fact that he didn't make it, to me, is by far the biggest snub for the Broncos, and maybe the biggest snub like across the league. It's certainly in the conversation.
Justin Simmons is possibly the best safety in all of football.
Yeah.
Did not make it.
And I think part of the reason it's annoying to me is that you look at these other awards, like the Walter Payton Man of the Year, they take into consideration your on-field accomplishments.
Uh-huh.
And so Justin Simmons, 1-time Pro Bowler versus Justin Simmons, 2-time Pro Bowler,
Oh, you think it's going to affect
in terms
this?
of winning the national award, it doesn't help him that he
doesn't.
didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Well, we should clarify here. Fans vote.
Yep.
Players vote.
Yep. Players play,
Players play and they vote.
and they vote.
And coaches.
Coaches coach and
Coaches
vote.
coach and vote. Yeah.
Fans fan and vote.
Fans fan and also vote.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 voting areas.
Well, I think they announced the fan voting ahead of time before they announced this, and I think Simmons was like 4th in the fan voting, and Surtain was 7th.
Are you Surtain?
Yes, I'm certain about that.
Good.
It is worth noting, of course, that they are first alternates,
Yes, which is nice, along with
Garrett Bowles. So there's a decent chance that those guys make it in, but it is a little different. Phil.
You want to be named.
You want to be named a Pro Bowler. You don't want
Yeah.
someone else to step away from it and let you be a Pro Bowler because they weren't there.
Yeah.
That, to me, I don't love that.
What do you think? What's more prestigious for the player? All Pro, which I know you really like, or Pro Bowl?
Well, I would say first team All Pro, then
That's
Pro
the
Bowler,
biggest.
then second
Like
team
when you're
All-Pro.
talking about Hall of Famers, what's the most important?
First team All Pros.
Yeah.
Because there's fewer of them, and it's not. The fact that the Pro Bowl has nothing to do with the media is a little interesting to me.
You think there should be a fourth?
Well, I just think that media probably has the best perspective overall. Phil,
You're saying coaches, they're busy on Sunday, and they only see tape of their guys and the teams they're playing.
Well, I think the fact is the players are busy, the coaches are busy.
We've seen how they fill out these Pro Bowl
Yeah, it's kind of like they'll be like, hey, Phil.
Fill this out.
Yeah, Phil, who should I put here? Like, who's the best guy? And someone will be like, oh, Tom Brady. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, Tom Brady.
Yeah,
they write it down.
Exactly.
Or they'll be like, who's a good running back? And they'll be like, Jonathan Taylor.
It's not the most serious voting process.
No. Or they'll be like, oh, I went to college with this guy. I'll put him in there. And so.
Really?
Yeah. And so the fan vote and then the coach vote, like you mentioned, Phil, they're busy. I'm not sure how much time they spend on that. The media, I think, tends to have a little bit better of an all-around perspective. And it's not perfect because we know, I think part of the reason the Broncos did not get any Pro Bowlers is just they haven't played on national television all that much. And the two games they did play in, or they were on national television, they lost. Surtain might have actually benefited from that because he's a first alternate at corner. He obviously had a pick in that Kansas City game.
Yes.
He did miss a big tackle in that Cleveland game that was kind of replayed several times.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that the Broncos, they don't get written about or talked about on kind of this national stage as much. And they haven't gotten the primetime games. And so some of that is why I think if the media was doing it, maybe you'd get a little bit.
About Justin Simmons, or they know, hey, Surtain's been having this amazing rookie year.
Or they pay a little bit more attention to the numbers or, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think the media in general would maybe take the voting process a little more serious.
Yeah, and that's why you see things like Justin Simmons or Garrett Bowles last year. He's a second-team All-Pro but doesn't make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Justin Simmons, 2 years ago now, was a second-team All-Pro, didn't make the Pro Bowl. Last year he made the Pro Bowl, didn't no All-Pro.
Yeah.
And that kind of suggested that from an advanced numbers standing, his season wasn't quite as impressive. So still some time for All-Pros, obviously.
Stuff. Yes.
And still some time for the Broncos to get a Pro Bowler.
What do you think about the Pro Bowl, the vote happening so early? I mean, there's still 3 games left. Like, what if Surtain goes out there and has 3 interceptions?
Yeah.
Not a Pro Bowler. That's kind of strange.
I mean, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand why they do it. I know they probably want to capitalize on this time of year, like announce something, get people excited,
happy.
Like if you're a fan of the like the Raiders, and this is what bothers me too. The Raiders have 3 Pro Bowlers. The Cleveland Browns, Raiders are 7-7. The Browns, who are also 7-7, have 5 Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
And so we've talked in recent years, like, the Broncos have had last year 2 Pro Bowlers, I believe.
Yeah.
Justin Simmons and Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, well, only 2 Pro Bowlers. Team success. You gotta have team success to get Pro Bowlers. Well, this
now
year
you're better, and now you have 0.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something doesn't quite add up there. That you're 7-7, you're right in the playoff hunt. Obviously, these were decided when the Broncos were 7-6, because I think these names started to be released before the game on Sunday. And so, to me, it's kind of like maybe one 7-7 team is a little bit more talented. Hard for me to believe that one 7-7 team could have 5 Pro Bowlers and another 7-7 team could have 0. That doesn't.
It's a bit of a popularity contest.
Oh, for sure.
And I would have thought that maybe Justin Simmons' name was big enough now to just sort of earn that respect, and the fact that he has 5 interceptions, tied amongst the most at the safety position.
The fact that he's really good.
Yeah, he is really good, huh?
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens with the All-Pro voting, but like disappointing.
The Surtain to me, because Surtain's
first alternate, that makes sense maybe for him.
Yeah, but to me, he's tied for second in the league or in the AFC among cornerbacks and picks. He's obviously had a really good or a low completion percentage from opposing quarterbacks. We saw what Justin Simmons said, where
doesn't even have to worry about that side of it.
Exactly, and so he's one of those guys that I think, as a Broncos fan, you're like, wow, Pat Surtain is really good. He deserves to make the Pro Bowl. Yep. But then every team kind of has one of those guys where you're like, this guy should make the Pro Bowl. So the fact that he's a first alternate, I think, is actually a sign of respect. Like, hey, people know he's pretty good. He's on the verge of making a Pro Bowl. But the Justin Simmons, to me, just makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. And
At all.
Ooh.
What are we doing here?
Jeez.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. You got to stand up for your guy. I appreciate that. Loyalty is important.
I mean, if you're, this happens every year. There's like someone, and it's not quite the same with Justin because there's guys tied for this, and the people who did make it, they're good players too.
Of course.
But there's someone every year where like they've got more touchdowns at a certain position, or they got more sacks at a certain position. Like I'm sure there were guys last year who finished higher than Bradley Chubb in the sack count. Yes. That were like, Bradley made it because he had a good game in prime time, and he's a well-known guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Bradley, I think he deserved it to some extent, and he has talked about how much that meant to him, and so I'm not going to say he didn't deserve to be there.
He didn't put insane numbers up last
right. Year. But I just think I feel bad for the guys who have great seasons, and they don't make it because of, like, the name value that you need.
Yeah. But I would have thought that Justin had that by now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Maybe not quite yet. Still getting there. But I will say Justin is now the unquestioned leader of this Broncos defense. As the Broncos defense gets more recognition, maybe some more stuff will come.
I guess I just wonder, like, what else would he have had to do to get there?
Yeah, I know.
Like, the Broncos defense is second in the league in scoring.
Yeah.
He has 5 interceptions. He won a game against Washington.
He's more physical in the tackle.
Yeah.
He had a sack last week.
Like, what more is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
He had 2 sacks last week.
Did he have 2?
Yeah.
See, I don't even know what's going on.
I didn't remember the second one until I saw the stat, but apparently he had 2.
I don't remember that. I just remember the one.
I saw the game notes.
Really?
Yeah.
So, well, maybe what they should do is wait till the end of the season. So.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I think.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, Kareem Jackson was leading the fan vote for a while.
Yeah.
And then the coaches and players vote, and Kareem's not in it. And so you just kind of wonder, like, does a fan vote matter?
You want to know what happened to those votes.
Yeah, count them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more votes somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're hiding them, aren't you?
You're thinking not all the coaches' votes got counted, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or maybe some of them, there was some, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Got it.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Got it.
Maybe look into it a little bit.
Eric, maybe a good time to move. Yeah, maybe it's a good time to move on to our next.
What's going on with Maricopa?
Yeah, exactly. Eric, the Broncos losing to the Bengals.
Yeah, bad.
That was
bad.
Soul-crushing, maybe.
Yeah.
Moral crushing.
Uh-huh.
A lot of crushing.
Maybe just cut that part out.
It just crushed everything. But somehow the Broncos are still in it.
They are.
They're still in the mix. Everything is still in front of this team that they wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year. Maybe not the division.
No,
but playoffs and a winning record.
Yoffs?
Still possible.
Yep.
The Yoffs. What does this game against the Raiders mean? I mean, they got to win out.
Yeah, they have to win out. And the Bengals hurt because it eliminated your margin for error. It crushed your morals because it eliminated your margin for error. Like, if you had beaten the Bengals and the Raiders, then you say, okay, well, can we just split against 2 really good teams in the Chargers and Chiefs? Now you got to find a way to beat both of them. But, of course, it starts this week with the Raiders. Phil, you're talking playoff percentages.
Talking playoffs?
This win wouldn't necessarily do a whole lot. Like, I think the Broncos are 8% or at 8% right now to make the playoffs. A win over the Raiders only bumps them up to like 13.
But a loss goes down to 0.
Yeah, they've got no chance.
Yeah. So it is important.
Yeah. But what you'll see over the next few weeks, if the Broncos can beat the Raiders, what a win over the Chargers would do, and then what a win over the Chiefs would do. Without any help, the Broncos get up to like a 92% chance of making the playoffs if they can win out. Because what people will see happen over the next few weeks is that all these teams that are clumped up right now, I think it's like 4 teams at 8-6 and maybe 4 more teams at 7-7, they all play each other.
Yeah.
The Broncos play the Raiders and Chargers. The Raiders play the Chargers as well. The Bengals, they play the Chiefs. They play the Ravens. They play the Browns.
There's so many teams all jumbled up.
Maybe
there
they don't play the Browns.
The
yeah. There's all these teams, especially in the AFC North, and right now all 4 AFC North teams are ahead of you.
Yeah.
They're going to beat up on each other.
Yes.
It is there's the Bills. I mean, there's just a bunch of teams, Phil, that
they need a couple of things to go their way, but probably something will happen where if the Broncos win out, they got a good chance to make it.
Yeah, there's a lot of paths. I mean, we put something up about like who to root for this week. If the Patriots beat the Bills and the Broncos win out, they've basically made the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's one game that they need to go their way. If the Bills win, you need the Ravens to lose a couple of games. I mean, it's not like this is not one of those scenarios where sometimes you go into week 17 and it's like you need this to happen and this to happen.
Jacksonville to beat the Chiefs.
Exactly. And you also need like the sun to line up with Mercury, and then at the same time, like somebody clicks their heels together. Like you don't need that to happen.
You're an astrophysicist now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm saying it. Well, I'm not, because I'm saying you don't need that to happen.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. Like this is still within the realm
You're
of possibility.
A football scientist.
Exactly. Yeah. But I look at the game against the Raiders and I say, if Drew Lock can play good football and not turn the ball over, you can win that game. Then you look at the Chargers and you say, it's going to be a harder game to win on the road. It's hard to beat a team twice in 1 year. But the Broncos, it was not a fluke that they won that first game.
No.
They had a good plan for Justin Herbert. They played well. The offense was efficient. You'd like to think that they could replicate that and maybe seal a win. And then, who knows? The defense did play really well against the Chiefs. Obviously, the offense has to be a lot better. It would be really exciting if you played that Week 18 game against the Chiefs and said a playoff berth's on the line. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, a couple of things could happen where the Chiefs might not have anything to play for.
Yeah.
Which would obviously be nice.
Well, there's only one team that makes a first-round bye.
Yeah.
So it would take quite a bit to happen for the Chiefs to have that all locked up heading into it, right?
Well, the Chiefs would have to win their next two, Steelers and Bengals, which the way the Chiefs are playing, hard to bet against them. They do have some guys on the COVID list. And then the Patriots would need to lose to the Bills or the Jags. Seems unlikely that they would lose to the Jags.
You never know.
And then the Titans would need to lose one of their next two. They play the Niners.
You've gone deep.
Well, I mean,
You've gone down a hole.
Yeah, a little bit. But like the Titans have not played great in recent weeks without Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
The Bills could be fired up. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility that those things could happen.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And so then you go from, hey, we have to beat three really good teams to maybe we got to, find a way to beat the Raiders, and then can you get a win over the Chargers to have a chance to? So
despite how moral crushing, and how down some of the fans are right now, you're saying it's still possible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the odds are not great because the Broncos have to go out there and win and play consistent football, and that's the one thing we haven't seen the last few weeks is it's been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. You've got to string them together.
At least it's up to them to do it.
It's up to them.
Yeah.
And with as good as this defense is playing, if the offense can just get hot for a couple weeks, it's not like this team needs to get hot for 2 months. If they can just get hot for a couple weeks, the defense can keep playing the way they have been, I think you'll see good things.
And if the Broncos go out and lose, nobody's going to feel sorry for them for not making the playoffs. They're like, you had your chance.
Of course.
You lost.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. They're still, I mean, the mentality sort of feels like they're out of it, but that's not really the reality.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like the loss to the Bengals did it.
That's not true.
And maybe that changes if you beat the Raiders this week. Maybe it kind of goes back to, hey, we're right in this thing.
Moral lifting.
But you gotta prove that you can do it. And listen, Phil, they're in this spot because you don't beat the Browns. The Eagles come here and beat you. You can't take advantage of a great defensive performance in Kansas City. You can't quite complete a comeback in Pittsburgh. Even if you just flip a couple games one way.
Way different.
You're
be the number 2 seed.
Yeah. You could be 9-5 and be they wouldn't be the 2 seed, but 9-5 and be in the 5 seed. Yeah. And be like really comfortable here.
Yeah.
But that's not how it has gone, and really feel it, as we've said a lot, we didn't think it would go this way. It was going to be a tough fight the whole time to make the playoffs. Broncos are right around 500, which is what we kind of figured they would be.
Yeah.
And now, can they do enough over the last 3 weeks here to sneak in?
Eric, would you be happy with just a winning season?
I wouldn't be happy, but I do think that it's progress.
2 out of 3. I think a winning season would mean a lot.
If you won 2 out of 3, and especially if like one of those wasn't against the Chiefs' backups, you could say like, hey, we split the year in the division.
Yep.
Because if you were to win these final 3, you'd have a winning record in the division. You'd be 4-2.
Yeah, and break that Chiefs streak.
Right. But say you went 2-3, you finished 3-3 in the division. You've added 4 more wins from last year. You have a winning record for the first time since 2016. Your defense is playing extremely well. I think there's a case to be made, Phil, that you're moving in the right direction. You've done something impressive. Does the offense have to be better? Absolutely. But I think you've signaled that we've got an elite defense. We figured things out. This is a team that next year, with the right tweaks, is ready to compete.
Yeah. No, I think that if you improve by 4 games from one season to the next, that's significant. So,
of course,
we'll have to see what happens down the stretch here, Eric.
Especially because there's not, in my mind, a ton of these wins. So it won't take long to name all the wins. But
you mean fluky? Nothing felt like
was
they
there
shouldn't have won that game.
Exactly.
No, I don't think so. All the games the Broncos have won.
So obviously the first 3,
solid.
Giants, Jags, Jets, those were all solid wins.
Yep. Then they lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah.
Washington, I don't really feel was fluky. You needed a stand at the end, but
Dallas,
that would have been fluky for Washington to win that game. Dallas, the Chargers, Lions, all those games to me felt like good wins, whereas some of the losses, like the Browns, you had a chance.
You feel like we're close.
The losses to me felt like they were closer to wins than –
every game, Eric, feels like there's a couple of plays that really –
like the Bengals game could have
things.
The Bengals game, the Philly game, there were a couple plays here or there that you could have won that game. Like if Melvin Gordon doesn't fumble against the Eagles, there's a chance you're going in there and taking the lead.
There's just a lot of moments where if you make the play, you go on to win, changes the outcome. Like if the Broncos, that long drive in Kansas City, say they score a touchdown there, then maybe you're talking about something different. Even against the Lions, the Broncos made the plays at the start of the second half. If you don't make those plays there, you're talking about a different. There's always a handful of plays that really determine some of these games.
Yeah, and as we kind of to loop it back to the beginning, Drew Lock.
I like that full circle.
Drew Lock has to make those critical plays and can't let the other team make those plays. AKA, don't turn the ball over.
If the Broncos make all the good plays, and they don't let the Raiders make the good plays, might win.
It's true.
Yeah. Eric, it's time for bold predictions. Bold predictions.
Yeah.
Full saturation. Bold colors.
Okay.
Predictions.
When the Broncos played the Raiders last time, I think the Raiders have scored over 30 points in their last 3 meetings with the Broncos. They don't get to 30.
Oh, so you're starting with a defensive
is that
prediction.
okay?
Yeah, I think that's good.
No 30.
Okay. No 30 points for the Raiders. Of course, the Raiders have won 3 in a row in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think they've won 4 of 5. Could be wrong.
Yeah, you're not certain about that.
No. I think that 4 or 5.
Okay. Maybe I'll say after the Pro Bowl snub, Justin Simmons comes out and has 1 interception.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. That's my prediction.
Nice.
Justin Simmons, an interception of Derek Carr.
Nice.
Of course, his first career interception.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
That's not true. That's not correct.
Who was his first interception of his career?
Alex Smith on Christmas.
Yeah, and then also Derek Carr.
The next year.
That was the next year, huh?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one where Amari Cooper goes up and.
That was an interception.
That was his second year.
Yeah.
That's why Eric's here.
That was his first.
Did Ben Swanson tell you that?
I think that was his first career interception at home.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and now they're at the Raiders' home, and that's why I'll get an interception.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah. You could take these bold predictions straight to Vegas with you.
Yeah.
You do what you want with them.
That's right.
Okay, you got an offensive one?
Oh, man. I think Cortland Sutton will get back in the end zone for the first time since the last time they played the Raiders.
Wow. That's poetic.
Yeah. That's true, right?
You like to just keep bringing it
Is that true?
around. I think that is true.
Yeah, I think so.
That is true. I do think that Drew Lock will be good for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
He lets him do a little bit. Let's see.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe something Drew Locky. You know.
How bold do you want to be? You can't help yourself sometimes.
I'd say Drew does not turn the ball over.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Wow.
That's what I think.
That would be good.
Will not turn the ball over.
Okay.
Is that possible? I think he's turned. What, he's had like 81 snaps, 3 turnovers, right?
4 turnovers.
4 turnovers, 81 snaps. Something like that.
4 turnovers, I think.
Is it? I know. Where's Ben Swanson when you need him?
Because he's had the 2 interceptions.
Yeah. He had the interception to Derwin James.
Yep.
Had the interception at the end of the Ravens game.
Yeah. He did fumble against the
Chargers, but he bounced right back.
Yeah. And then one that Tim Patrick recovered.
Oh, and there was one that Tim Patrick.
And then this one.
Yeah.
So he's lost the football 5 times.
A few times, yeah.
But I will say, to his credit, toward the end of last year, he did have a stretch of games where it was better.
Yeah.
Now, the Chargers game was not good, but
I'm going to say he doesn't turn it over.
Okay. I don't think he turned it over the last time he played the Raiders.
I'm confident in Drew.
Okay. You said, is that possible? So it doesn't sound...
I was just asking if it's possible. Okay, now score prediction.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say Broncos 24.
Ooh, I was thinking 24.
Yeah.
I like that number.
Raiders.
I like that number.
Raiders 17.
That is a great score.
Yeah.
That's a really nice score. You think the Broncos get it down, huh?
I think they do.
I think so, too.
Drew has to not turn the ball over.
Yeah. That's what I just predicted.
If that's true. If he turns the ball over even once or twice, I think there's a sense you could just kind of fall into this trap.
You could go straight to negative.
Exactly. So.
Yeah. I'm going to say Broncos 24. I agree with you.
Okay, that's what I said, yeah.
Should I mix it up?
Yeah.
Just for fun? Okay.
Broncos 30.
No. I'll say 21 then for Broncos.
Okay.
Raiders 13.
Wow, okay. This defense is locked in right now.
Really locked in.
And they don't have
Very well.
The Broncos gave up a ton of deep plays to the Raiders last time. No Henry Ruggs though. Callahan is here to handle Hunter Renfrow. I think these guys might be locked.
Callahan's here. He's going to take
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Eric, you may have noticed I grabbed my phone.
Yeah.
You know what that means.
It's voicemail o'clock.
It is. It is. And, we got one from Wyatt. That's a new – well, he says that he's not new, but – well, here, I'll just let him play.
Hey, guys. So my name is Wyatt. I've called on here before a couple of times, so you may recognize that name. But pretty much what I wanted to call and talk about is the Drew Lock starting the next 3 games and us kind of being in the playoff race, but it's going to be really difficult and everything like that. I think that Drew Lock has everything in front of him. He comes out, wins these 3 games, and either A, we make the playoffs, or B, we come close, and it comes down to that last Sunday, and someone wins and someone loses, whatever. But I think that he has everything in front of him. I think he comes out, balls out, proves that he still can be the franchise quarterback for the Broncos, goes 3-0, and it would kind of be like his first season when he came out and did really good in the end, and then we'll see how he does in the regular season. But I think that, go back to that Cincinnati game, a lot of people, I personally saw on Instagram, Twitter, people saying that, Drew Lock didn't help, this, that, and that. Drew Lock didn't throw a pick, and he threw a touchdown. Now, yes, he had that fumble where, the guy stripped it from him, and then they called him down, even though I personally don't think he wasn't, but whatever. They called him down and stuff like that. But that was just him being aggressive, trying to make a play. And, yes, there were dropped interceptions, but I think it was the same thing with Teddy. But I'm kind of excited to see how the offense operates with Drew Lock, because you saw him take that shot to Tim Patrick. You saw him take get Albert O involved, which I think we underutilized him a lot. So, yeah, I just wanted to call and give my input on Drew Lock, and I think he'll do great this next 3 games, and I think that we'll have a chance to make the playoffs still if we can win out and then just finally make the playoffs after, not having the quarterback carousel, and hopefully Drew Lock can prove that he is the franchise guy. I'm a big fan of the show. Thanks for doing it, and y'all have a great day. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Wyatt. Thank you very much for the call. I don't remember Wyatt calling in, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt. Ben Swanson sometimes shuts the phone lines down.
That is true. A lot of good points from Wyatt there.
Yeah.
I like that he compared this to maybe the end of his rookie season. The only difference, Eric, is that those games didn't really matter for the Broncos. They were already removed from the playoffs. A little bit of a different deal where you're out there just playing free and you don't have all the pressure on you.
Yeah, and also the pressure because they're your first game, so you don't have kind of like this timeline on you. It feels almost like Drew probably only has a few games left here to kind of prove what he can do. Obviously only has 1 year left on his contract after this.
Can he be the franchise guy?
You never want to rule anything out. He would have to, I think, be really incredibly impressive over the next 3 games, maybe win a playoff game. And even then, I think the Broncos are just going to evaluate all their options this offseason. I mean, there's rumors that certain big-name quarterbacks could be available. There's obviously a lot of talent in the draft. We don't know how good those quarterbacks are, but there's a handful of names that could be options. So I don't know that – from what we know about George Payton, Phil, I don't know that he's going to make such a big decision based on just 3 games worth of tape. But Drew, I think, could certainly put himself in the conversation at least to be that guy if he can go out there, win these games, play really well, show that he's turned the corner. But, it's asking a lot of him to do that.
Yes, that would be asking a lot of him. But you never know. You never know what's possible.
I'm always like, man, AJ is really passionate about Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And then I remember there's like 10,000 of those people that feel that way about Drew Lock.
That is true. There is a certain of a sense that, like for example, the throw to Tim Patrick. Yeah. You're like, yes, he took a shot down the field, got a touchdown going. Well, I don't know. If you throw that exact same play 10 times, it's probably picked off quite a few times.
Yeah. But it's a touchdown, though.
It was a touchdown. Tim Patrick.
And Drew made some throws that, you have to have a certain level of arm talent to make.
Yeah,
where he kind of rifled.
He zipped it right in there to
Albert O. Yep, that was a nice pass. And so those are plays that other guys can't necessarily make. But then there's plays where, like, you have Cortland Sutton open down the field on 3rd down. You got to be able to make that throw. It's over his head. And so
I do think Sutton should have caught that ball, but it was a tough catch.
It was high.
Well, he got both of his hands on the ball.
It was very high.
And Cortland Sutton jumps really high.
Yeah. Or you could just put it
in
the bread basket.
You could have put it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that concerns me about Drew is that if you just rewind 2 years ago at the end of the year, we were talking about Drew, very similar types of conversations. Yeah. But he claims that he's improving, and I just he talks about so much improvement. He talks about this thing he set up in his basement. He loves talking about that. he really likes talking about that, Eric. I do think that he just talks about this improvement. We saw some of that in the preseason, but it's time to really go out and show it.
You got to show it, and he's got his chance now. There's no –
This is his chance.
You can't say anything about not enough practice time or coming in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
You're playing a Raiders team that's not great. It's lost some players defensively. This is your chance. Go prove it.
Go do it.
Go prove it.
Go do it. Should we play one from Brandon from Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
We love Brandon from Iowa.
Could be nice.
Hey, fellas. Brandon from Iowa. Well, that was quite the game. First of all, thoughts and prayers to Teddy. That looked really, really nasty, and hopefully he's okay. I hope to see him back out there real soon. Drew Lock, I thought, came in and played really well right away. He was looking like he was going to be there, and then he got that silly fumble. But, those are turnovers that we can't have, and, everybody knows that. But what do you say to a guy who just has that kind of look sometimes? It just has it going, and then all of a sudden he just doesn't. So I think that there's a lot to learn from this one. We can only hope that there's still a reasonable way to make the playoffs. I know we got to keep winning, but I'd be interested to see how much help we need now. But that's how football goes sometimes. See you guys.
Brandon, thank you very much for the voicemail there. Happy holidays to you and yours. That was a silly fumble, wasn't it?
It was silly.
That was a nice way to put it. I like that.
Yeah.
A silly fumble. What do you think about this notion that Drew came in there and played really well? He did provide a spark.
Yeah, the first drive I thought was really good, and obviously the second drive they moved the ball. But then after that, you have two chances where you can retake the lead because after the fumble, the Broncos forced a punt. It might have been a 3-and-out.
There was less than 4 minutes left in the game. The Broncos get the ball, and they can't really do anything with it.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more than that, actually. I think it was like 6 minutes or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, they punted with less than 4 minutes.
Yes, correct. So they punt the ball back to the Bengals, and then they get the ball back with like a minute 30. They needed to go 75 yards, minute 15, something like that.
Yeah.
No
it would have
timeouts.
taken a lot. But,
right, but
at least you want to get the ball moving a little.
And that's but they had a possession before that too.
Yeah, exactly.
After it was 15-10.
Yeah.
So you had two possessions where you're not able to score, not able to move the ball. And you know, after last year with that Chargers game, you kind of think like, hey, this is where Drew thrives, and for whatever reason, maybe that has a little bit of the rustiness. It just didn't quite work. But you talk about, hey, this is a hard situation. The great ones, the franchise quarterbacks, that's where they thrive.
Like you saw Mahomes at the end of that game against the Chargers.
Mahomes, you know, Rodgers, I mean, Matt Stafford, like all these guys, the big name guys, the guys that you want to build your team around, you get
magic.
You're scared to give them the ball with a minute and 15 seconds left. You're like, gosh, we should have scored later so that we don't give them so much time.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of these guys it's easy. You know, you watch Burrow at the end of the first half, for example.
Yeah.
There's what, like 18 seconds left or something like that?
One play, boom, field goal range, kick it.
Yeah.
3 points.
And it's just like, it's surgical.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is where, because Drew only went 6 of 12, so completed 50% of his passes. His passer rating was just over 100, which is good, and he had the touchdown pass. Took a sack, had the fumble. But the fact that they weren't able to get anything going on those last two drives, I think kind of hurts the narrative in my mind a little bit, that it was like a great game outside of that one fumble. He had two chances after, and the offense had two chances after that, and one of those was the Sutton miss.
Yes, that was on third down they missed. Decided a punt. Yeah.
Which, it was 4th and 9. It was long.
Eric, the thing on the last thing is, like, people are going to say, well, driving down, no timeouts to score a touchdown with 1 minute to go is really difficult. But what you would want to see is take what the defense gives you across the middle of the field, get at least to midfield, and then you got a chance to throw a Hail Mary.
Yep.
But the fact that it was just a complete disaster is what the problem was. Even on the 4th down play, he just threw it out of bounds.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No, the operation was not great there.
Yeah.
We said a lot of time after the sack. Guys are jogging back. I mean, it was kind of
messy.
a mess. Yeah.
Yeah, it was messy. So, but I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah.
I will say there was some criticism about the play call to give Drew the option there. I asked Todd Davis on the Broncos postgame show.
Yep.
Did you know we did that?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, the Broncos postgame show with Todd Davis, former Broncos linebacker Todd Davis. I was like, what did you think about that call? Like, in my mind, I was thinking, gosh, the running game was working so well. Play action was working. Why did you go to this? And he goes, but if it worked, you would be like, what a great call. Give Drew the ball and let him run a little. So that's what tends to happen in those plays. Because say Drew gets around that guy, there's a lot of space over there. So I don't know. That's all I'll say about it.
I think when you've got a guy who struggled with turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you don't risk it.
The option. Don't give him the option.
Yeah.
On the option play.
Yeah.
Here's an email from John Jornot. That's your friend. John, happy holidays. This is the time of year where you let just things, bygones be bygones.
Yep.
Says, I only noticed 2 long passes when Teddy was in there. One to Sutton, which was nicely broken up. That's one way to put it. One to Judy, which he dropped. Then Drew comes in, immediately takes them down for the first touchdown. Oh, my gosh. We need the lights.
We're running out of time.
I can read this, and we're running out of time, too, here. For the first touchdown, but as we've seen in the past, he fumbles it on the winning drive, which lost us the game. He tried to get the ball back, unlike Teddy a few weeks ago, but that was a shot there, John. But Drew just doesn't protect the ball, whether he has it in the pocket or he's passing it. I thought he was our better chance last year, but we need our own Joe Burrow. What do you think? It'd be nice.
Sure, that'd be
like
nice.
Joe Burrow, yeah.
I mean, he was the #1 overall pick for a reason and won the Heisman. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
Is that it? Or is there more?
Well, he goes on a little bit longer, and he says, like, New England will make the playoffs with the quarterback we should have taken. If they didn't believe in Drew Lock, then they should have used their first pick for a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Everyone was like, draft Justin Fields, and now everyone's like, oh, you should have taken Mac Jones.
Yes. Hindsight, what do they say? It's 2020.
Yeah. That's just funny to me because
2022.
if this team had taken Justin Fields and he was bad, everyone would have been like,
why didn't you take the safe? Yeah.
And they would have forgotten that they said to take that. So
yes,
Pat Surtain is really, really good. If they didn't believe in either one of those guys or they didn't believe that they could put the right system in place around those guys, then wait.
And let's just have the record clear. It's not like Mac Jones is lighting up the world.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No. They've been good around him.
Conservative with him.
Yeah, they threw it 3 times against Buffalo.
Yes. And
he
even
threw
last
2
week
picks against
the
the
Colts,
Colts.
he didn't really throw that many passes.
No.
So
they have a great
team.
Yes.
And
staff.
the best head coach of all time.
Yes.
So let's just pump the brakes here on this Mac Jones talk.
Yeah. Okay. Woof.
No, I'm getting upset.
Woof.
Gosh, you get upset about Justin Simmons?
Yeah, you're like, Mac Jones, God, you're blasting him.
Let's wrap up the show here, Eric. If people want to leave an email like John Jornad.
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
If you want to leave a voicemail like Agent. We ran out of time, Agent.
Yeah, sorry. It's blinking.
Yeah, it's blinking. So we got to wrap this
707 neutral.
Yep. Or hit us up on Twitter directly.
At Eric Delisle with an A, at Phil Maloney with a PH, untraditional spelling.
Non-traditional spellings. Or on YouTube.
Yeah, smash subscribe.
Yeah, thank you very much. Time for shout-outs.
Liz Gerald, shout out. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Tremendous work in the community.
That's right.
And a lot of guys adopting families.
It's great.
You love to see that. So happy holidays to NZ Nation. Hope you get to celebrate with your friends and family. We'll be back next week talking about this Broncos and Raiders matchup. Until then,
let's go Drew Lock.
Let's go Drew Lock.
Get it done.
See what
happens.
Get it done. Yeah. My bold prediction.
Yep.
I love it. Until then, for Eric Delisle, I'm Phil Maloney. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.